Okay, in my last video, I talked about my trip that my husband and I took to go see some family members in two different states. Well, I happen to remember something that I can laugh about now, but at the timing it was frustrating, annoying, and I was exhausted. So I'm going to tell you something that I told my sister and she lost it. She cracked up laughing because she said it was the funniest thing. And when I think about it now, it is funny. It's crazy. Okay, so you know how I said that on Saturday, the 17th of June, I was still in Michigan, and me, my husband, his brother, the wife, and their child decided to go swimming in the pool of the hotel for about an hour. Well, afterwards, I was going to put our swimming suits into the dryer that the hotel had so that it would be dry so I could pack it. Well, the dryer was out of order. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just hang it up on the hangers that they have in the hotel room and hope that they're dry by the time we get up the next morning so I can throw it into the suitcase really quickly and run out the doors to catch the plane. Well, the next morning when we got up, it wasn't enough time for it to air dry because the towel was still soaked. The swimming suits were just a little bit damp. They didn't have a lot of moisture. They did pretty good drying, but the towel itself, more than half of it was still dripping wet and dripping on the carpet. And I was like, well, there's nothing I can do about that. So I wrung it out the best I could to get as much water of it that was still in it out, even though I thought I got all of it out to begin with. And then I folded it up as quickly as I could and threw it in my suitcase on the very top of everything. I didn't have time to worry about what was going to happen. Well, I had to do the same thing with his towel as well because his was still wet. And when we finally did get to Oklahoma and we got checked into our hotel, I asked them if they had a working, functioning dryer. And they said yes. So when I found it, I discovered it was on the second floor, and it was the only washer and dryer there. And the hotel we were in, we were on the fourth floor. When I went through our suitcases, I discovered that because the towel was wet, it not only got other clothing in my suitcase wet, but they were also beginning to smell mildewy. That's not good. And I happened to have some quarters on me, just in case they were needed, and I decided I was going to just go ahead and throw them into the wash, and then after that I would put them in the dryer. Well, I was tired. I had literally gotten no sleep the night before, and I was pretty much running on maybe 2 hours of sleep and a bottle of Dr. Pepper. It was like the only caffeine I could use that would help keep me awake so that I wouldn't miss any of my flights, and I couldn't sleep on the plane. It just wasn't comfortable for me. And so I pulled out all the stuff that got touched by the wet clothes that were dirty and everything, and I threw them into the wash, and that was $2.50. And that took about 35 minutes. When that was done, what I thought was a dryer, because, okay, so in this laundry room, you've got two white machines to the left, and you got two silver looking machines to the right. Well, the ones on the left are for people who are not handicapped and can stand up and do laundry. I did not know that. One was a washer, the other one was a dryer. The two on the right that are silver are for people who are wheelchair bound and cannot stand up and still need to do laundry. Therefore, the washer and dryer down there was for them. I mistakenly, accidentally took my clothes out of the white washer and threw it into the handicap washing machine. I did not know that until I had already started it and discovered it was once again getting rewashed. I tried to stop it, it wouldn't open. So I hurried to the front desk, told them what had happened, and they said there was nothing they could do to stop it and I couldn't get my money back. And I said, okay, I need to know which one is the dryer. At this point, I was exhausted. And I couldn't think straight. And so she went up there and she was able to show me which one was the washer and the dryer, and she was able to point out what was what. And I'm like, okay, so I had dimes on me because I had already used up the other $2.50 I had that was left, and I ended up using that on the second washer. So I took a bunch of dimes that I had, exchanged them for $2.50 of quarters from her, and then I went up there, waited for the washer to get done, and then I finally put them into the dryer. Well, after I finally got them into the correct dryer machine, That said it was going to take 15 minutes. I put it on the highest heat there was because I wanted it fully dry. And I like, you know what? I'm not staying down here waiting for this. I'm going to go upstairs and wait in my room. Well, I was so distracted thinking about what I had accidentally done with the washer and dryer situation, and I was extremely tired because it was already 11 o'clock at night. The hubby had already fallen asleep in the bed. He was out. And I walked to the elevator to go up to the 4th floor. Well, there was a lady already in the elevator because she had come from the 1st floor lobby. I got in, and before I could push any buttons, she said, okay, I'm heading upstairs. Which way are you going? I pushed the 4th floor button. And she goes, oh, okay, good. We're both going up. And she had hit the 3rd floor button. Well, I wasn't thinking about it, and I accidentally followed her out of the elevator onto the 3rd floor, and she looked at me confused. I was not even thinking about what floor I was on. I was just completely distracted. I literally was just thinking about the laundry over and over in my head. And and I started going down the hallway, and I thought she was confused as to which way to go, so I pointed to the sign on the wall and said, that tells you where your room is. And she looked at me and she goes, no, I'm trying to figure out why you're on the 3rd floor. And she's like, you're supposed to be on the 4th floor. And I'm like, oh. I realized what had happened. I'm like, sorry, I'm distracted. And she laughed. She goes, you're fine. Elevator's that way. And I turned back around, headed back to the elevator. I got on. And then I made my way back to the 4th floor to my room. I just sat there trying to figure out what to do next because there was so much I was trying to get done before I went to bed while waiting for the dryer to get done. Well, when I had gotten finished, there was still about 10 minutes left on the dryer, but I went ahead and pulled the clothes out, and they were completely dry, they were clean, they smelled a lot better. And I'm like, okay. I did not have a basket or a bag with me, so I had to carry the whole armful of clothing with hands. It wasn't easy, but I managed to get to the elevator holding all of my clothes, and what's funny is there were 2 men in the elevator. One was a senior citizen, and the other one, I believe, was his son. And they were on the elevator. They were planning to go to a different floor, but because the elevator opened to let me on so I can get to the 4th floor, they accidentally got off on the 2nd floor. And they didn't realize it until the elevator doors were already closed, and the younger man said, oh, wrong floor. And he turned around to get back onto the actual elevator. I laughed because I thought, I already did that. I hurried to the 4th floor, got to my room, sorted out the laundry, folded it, put it back in our suitcases, took a shower, and went to bed. And by that time, it was 12:30 in the morning. I was exhausted. And I'm like, I'm tired. It was pretty close to 1 in the morning by the time I actually did fall asleep, and I was just exhausted. But it was frustrating, it was annoying, and it was difficult. I was exhausted, and I went through all of that. And then the very next day, when I happened to be with my sister that night, I told her what had happened, and she was just laughing her head off at me. And she goes, that's funny. And I'm like, yeah, I can laugh about it now, but at the timing, it was the most annoying and frustrating thing to deal with. Note to self, always check washers and dryers before just assuming anything, or you're going to end up doing your laundry twice. So, I wanted to share that because it's actually funny now for me, but at the timing it was annoying. So, anyways, I just wanted to share that funny story. So, thanks for watching.